in as we can over the next 15 minutes, and then we'll have Anthony Gordon with you just after that. Keith Downey.
Hi, Eddie, nice to see you. How was the journey? How was the journey over, and how disruptive has it been?
Yeah, the journey over was fine. It was just the wait before. So we were on the tarmac ready to go, and just the winds were too high for us to take off. So the pilot looking after our safety first, and then just as we were probably about to call time on and possibly look at an alternative arrangement, he felt it was good to go, and he got us here safely.
What was the alternative option? Well,
the alternative option was to maybe stay in Newcastle and fly tomorrow, but thankfully we got here today, which I think was the much better option.
How are you feeling about the clash now? You were obviously here a couple of years ago, total different situation then. Memories coming back from that evening?
Yeah, memories coming back as you walk into the stadium. That was, I think, a really good night for us, because I think it was a really great test for us at that stage of our development to go up against such a great team, and I thought we put on a really good display. I think there was moments, well, big moments in the game where we were backs to the wall, and I think we were reliant on Nick to make some great saves, but we hung in there and protected our lead for so long. Of course, the incident at the end is well known about. I think we felt really hard done by in that moment, but I was very proud of the performance overall. And
how are your two Brazilians ahead of the game?
Well, one's definitely out, so Joe won't make the game. He's had a scan. We don't think it's a bad injury, but he'll possibly be out for a few weeks. But he's going to see another opinion just to make sure we're on the right lines with that. So although he won't be out for a long time, he'll miss a few games just because we've got so many fixtures. Our other Brazilian is with us, and we'll know more in the next few hours.
Thanks, Keith. Lee Ryder.
Hi, Eddie. Just on this game, obviously coming into it on the back of a defeat, but I guess you're in these games to enjoy them. This is your reward for last season finishing 5th. Is that the way you've got to sort of frame this one, do you think?
Yeah, I think that's the way we've got to think about every game, really. We've got to try and enjoy every moment, because they're so precious. I think all the competitions we're in, as you go through them, of course we're in a Carabao Cup semi-final, and you want to enjoy it. You want to experience all the highs and lows that every game and competition brings. But I think the only way you truly enjoy it is if you win and you get through, ultimately. So you're seeking that experience, but you're seeking the reward at the end of it. And we're all determined to try and do as well as we can. This will be a great game for us tomorrow. It'll be another great experience for everybody. But we want to win. I think we're conditioned to think that way.
Can I just quickly check as well, very, very quick, on loans, the loan market. Is that an option for you in this window?
I think it's very difficult to use the loan market effectively for us. I think I've said many times, there's not too many clubs around the world desperate to help us, due to the fact that we're competitors. And yeah, so I think it's a tough market for us to use effectively. But it's not to say that we wouldn't look at anything if it became available to us.
Thank you. Damien Spellman, two back, please. Thank you.
Hi, Eddie. Sorry. The two games against PSG 2 seasons ago were both very different games. What did you learn from those two games?
Yeah, they were different games. I mean, I think the first one is well spoken about, really, the home game. I think that is the game that stands out for me in terms of atmosphere. Our stadium, you know, the best I think that I can recall. It was an atmosphere that really helped us, inspired us, and I just think that lives long in the memory. Of course, then you had the goals and the way we played, and Fabian's goal at the end sort of summed it up unbelievably well. Seeing a centre half score a goal like that, a really special evening for us. And then this game was very, very different. As I say, I think Paris played very well and chased the game really effectively, but we hung in there and we showed all the resilience and the defensive qualities that was the hallmark of our team at the time to stay 1-0 ahead.
Thanks, Damien. I'll go to George Colkin, sorry, and then to Kieran, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Eddie. Just on that game, obviously with all the injuries and suspensions you had, you couldn't name a full bench. You didn't feel able to bring a sub on. Was that amongst the kind of most powerless you felt as a manager on the touchline? And are you looking forward to it being a bit different this time?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't really remember that, as in you say those things now, but that's not my memory of that moment. My memory was, yes, I'm probably aware we had injuries, but my memory was a group of players that were committed. I wasn't aware. I didn't make a sub. That's not forefront in my thoughts of the game. I remember Alex's goal. I remember it was being a really good team goal. And I remember coming under pressure and the lads really digging in and Nick making some unbelievable saves. I thought Paris played very well that night, actually, and you could see their qualities. And that's why I was so proud of the group, because very different to the other game we experienced where things sort of fell our way. Things were going against us and we were really strong. And that's where the penalty decision really stung us, because we felt it was unjust.
Okay, Kieran, and then to Mark, please. Thank you.
Good evening. The away form has been well documented. Does this feel like the perfect stage, perfect occasion for the team to really show their mettle?
Yeah, I think sometimes the bigger the game and the harder the challenge, the more you have to rise to it. It goes without saying. And I think, yeah, there's been, rightly so, a lot of questions asked about our away form and our ability to, as I said, mentioned in the previous game, our ability to handle pressure, to be resilient in times when we're not the dominant team. Probably haven't done that well enough this year. And then, of course, when you do get the moments that you need to show your quality the other way, this would be a really good game to try and answer some questions and to try and show ourselves that we can be effective in every environment and in every game that we play. So I think we'll endeavour to try and set the team up to do that. And then, of course, we need all the players to play at their maximum level.
Okay, just to Mark behind you, please, Kieran.
Hi, Eddie. Your performances in Europe have been a sort of marked improvement on last time in terms of the results in particular. How far do you think you've progressed in terms of being a European side in this campaign?
Yeah, I think the experiences that we had 2 years ago definitely helped us for this time around. I don't think we had anything to draw back on the first time. It was all new to near enough everybody. We had one or two players that had Champions League experience, but not enough to I think feel that we were totally ready. I think this year is different, and then you had the other big games that we've had domestically. There was a feeling, I think, from the group that we want to excel, not just participate, and I think that's a totally different attitude to go into the competition with. So I think we've gone in with a higher self-esteem, with a higher thought of ourselves, with a real resolve to try and first just attack the competition and try and get through to the knockout stages. That's been our aim, and we're on our way to doing that. We've still got a lot of work to do.
Okay, John Murray, and then to Martin Harley, please.
Hi, Eddie. How would you describe having to come here to play this Paris Saint-Germain team, bearing in mind what they've achieved and the way that they've played since you last played them? And also, what did you make of the way that they performed against the English clubs last season, and I suppose Tottenham as well at the start of this season?
Yeah, I mean, I watched all of those games last year and I thought they were hugely impressive. I think they're a team that we really admire with how they play, the manager's style, how he's coached the team, how he's evolved the team, how he's made some really smart signings to make them better. I think there's a lot to admire, especially their style, because I think they're quite unique with how they play. They don't tend to copy anybody. They're solely themselves. Very, very good football team. They've got athletic players in every position. They're technically very good. They're tactically interesting. So the ultimate test for me in Europe, this will be, I think, the hardest game that we could have played. But we've got to go in with the attitude that we relish that. And as I said earlier, I think we've got to rise to that occasion individually, collectively. We've got to be at our very, very best.
Thank you. Martin Hardy.
Hi, Eddie. We keep talking about these pivotal moments in your season, but this is 6 games in 18 days against the champions of Europe, the champions of England, the 8 times Premier League winners, and Aston Villa, and Tottenham, and Brentford, and in 4 competitions. Does it get much bigger and much harder?
No, it certainly doesn't get much harder than that. I think it's a spell we always knew we had coming. Of course, when we found out the cup draws and put the missing pieces into the games. I think a pivotal period, as you say, because the games are going to be on us before we know it, and we found that all through the season. But I think this spell in particular, I mean, just look at this week alone, where we go Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday. That's and look at the teams we're playing against. Huge physical demand, huge mental test. So I think we'll find out a lot about ourselves in the next few days. Hopefully positive, because we've got to respond, and for me, we've got to trust the squad as well. I think this is a big week for the squad to step up and really show its worth.
And you talk about the painful moments in your career as building your desire to succeed. Does it feel like that's in that same chair as where you sat just over 2 seasons ago after that moment where the penalty so late in the game and the heartache of that night? Is it another situation that builds your desire to succeed?
Yeah, I think every moment does. I think not necessarily that moment, because for me that was a positive moment. It wasn't yes, the penalty itself was a difficult thing to get my head around at that time, but I think there was a feeling of we performed well. So I don't think that was necessarily a painful negative moment to sort of draw from. I think there's been other moments that have been felt a lot different than that, and that sort of made us have to change and review what we do. I think we come here in a totally different mindset in this moment, because in the Champions League everything is relatively positive. We've got obviously this game, and then who knows what's ahead after that. But I think we have to be positive and don't think about any other game. Try and just nail down our focus onto this moment. Don't look too far ahead, even though we know we've got big games to come. I think it's just about being really singular in our approach.
Thank you. Gary, and then to Craig, please. Thank you.
Hi, Eddie. You just mentioned, we were just talking about that night at St James's 2 years ago and how special it was. It would take some topping. But given what PSG achieved last season, if you can get a win here tomorrow, get through the last 8, avoid 2 extra fixtures, would that top that game from 2 years ago? Would it be even more special?
Yeah, I always say difficult to judge anything when you look back through history. I just think let's just take this game individually. We want to express ourselves in the right way. We want to try and win the game. We want to try and progress without the extra games, as you say. All those things are rewards for us. But just looking at it solely as a football match, we're pitting ourselves against the very best. What a great opportunity for us to show everybody and ourselves that we can play in any environment, home or away, and we can be effective. So I think we've got football questions to answer, and I think that's the focus.
Last one's Craig, please.
Eddie, the past week much has been made of the Bruno status. He is close to an invaluable player as you've ever worked with, and that you've got to be with him every day really to appreciate his true worth and his true qualities, some of which are probably unquantifiable by numbers.
Yeah, I mean, he is a very rare player these days, in the respect that he wants to play every minute of every game. He wants to win everything he does, whether that's training or game related. He's a positive guy, so even in difficult moments he can quickly switch to disappointment, to positive, to the future. He's got that warrior attitude that he will fight for you, he will fight for the team, he will fight for what he believes in. And of course then you put that aside and then you go to the football player who's just a magnificent technician who, I say, Bruno's biggest quality for me is he wants the ball in every moment. He will go hunting the ball because he's brave enough to take responsibility. So I think he's got some great qualities and he helps us when he plays. I would never say that there isn't a player that can be, not replaced is the wrong word, but I think we have to learn to play if he's not available. So I think that's for another day, but hopefully he can be and he can make the difference.
Okay, thank you, everyone. We have Anthony waiting for you now. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thank you. Cheers. Thank you.
Afternoon, everyone. We have the usual 15 minutes with Anthony. So I would like to start with Keith down the front, please.
Hi Anthony, how you doing? Nice to see you. Manager speaking there, saying that the journey over was a little bit difficult and the wait in the runway. How was it for you guys as players ahead of what is obviously a big match tomorrow?
Yeah, it's all right. It's just one of them things. It's not ideal, but it's not a disaster. You sat on a nice, comfortable plane, so I don't think we can complain too much. But we was there for quite a long time.
How are you feeling individually going into this game? It's a little bit of a head scratcher at the moment because you're scoring for fun in the Champions League. I think you're second or third top scorer, but you're not quite finding a net from open play in the Premier League. It's a bit of an unusual situation. Are you able to sort of get your head around it yourself?
Yeah, very unusual. I don't have an answer for you, unfortunately. It's just one of them things. I'm trying the exact same in both games. I'm trying to do the right things always. They're just going in the Champions League. I don't have an answer for you.
How much are you enjoying the Champions League and the challenges that it brings?
Yeah, I do love the Champions League. I think it brings out extra in players. I think it's just the biggest competition in the world for me. It's the best. It's what every player grows up wanting to play in this competition. So I'd be lying if I said it didn't bring out some extra motivation or adrenaline. Got Lee Ryder in the bottom corner there, please, and then Damien 2 rows behind.
Hi, Anthony. What's it like being a modern-day footballer? Because there's so many distractions that are there with social media. Everyone seems to want to have a say. What's it like for you after a game, whether you've played good, bad or indifferent?
I think it is what you make it. I stay off social media. I don't use it. So it's not that bad for me. I don't see a lot of it. I know a lot of players do. So, I mean, it's their choice. Like I said, it is what you make it, but it's not for me. I don't care for people's opinion, whether they love me or they don't like me. It doesn't bother me either way. So I find it okay.
Yeah. Can you use that as fuel going forward, do you think?
I think, again, it depends on the person, the individual. For me, I don't prefer to do that. I like to just go off my own motivation, the things that motivate me daily. But that comes from within for me. Like, everyone works differently. Some people can use the social media stuff for motivation. But yeah, that's not my style.
Just what is it about the Champions League lights playing under them this season? You really enjoyed it, and another big chance to do it again tomorrow.
Yeah, like I said, I just think it's the biggest, it's the best. It's just you're facing against the European champions like we are tomorrow. You're playing all the best players, the best managers. You're travelling. I don't know. It's just the biggest and the best. Thank you, Damien, please.
Hi, Anthony. Where do the 2 PSG games rank in your career?
Yeah, the first one was one of the best I've ever been a part of. If you're talking atmosphere, adrenaline, how I actually felt in the moment, I think that was definitely one of the best. Just how we pressed them, and we got the early goal, and then it just seemed to get better and better. It felt like it was just a night made for everyone in Newcastle. I just remember everyone being so happy, fans, players, staff, after the game. The second one, a little bit more frustrating. Amazing game, I think, from us, amazing performance, one that I was very proud of at the time, because I know how hard we work for it. But then to obviously finish the game the way we did was tough. Go Mark and then Kieran, please.
Anthony, it's been a sort of strange season in some ways, because I think there's a little bit of a sort of cloud of negativity over it because you maybe not got quite the momentum. But it's the message from players that this could still be a historic season. You've obviously got a huge game tomorrow.
Yeah, of course. We're always trying to, like I said before, we're always trying to do the right things, no matter the competition. It's hard really to look at what competition we're playing in because the games come so thick and fast that we just try and do the right things. And like I was saying before, that's what I try and do individually as well. You can't really decipher between what type of game it is. You just give it your best, and that's all we can do as a team. Kieran, and then Craig on this side, please.
And so you mentioned the game a couple of years ago. The way it ended with the penalty, does that give you added motivation, and have you spoke about that amongst yourselves?
No, that's football and life. Decisions aren't always going to go the way you want them. Like I said, they're a top team. Sometimes they find a way to get a result. You kind of got to accept that sometimes. They are a top team, the world champions. It was devastating at the time, of course, but yeah, I'm kind of over it now.
can I ask you about Nick and Johan? Do you feel you're still adapting to having a different type of striker up front? What's that been like? Do you feel the team are adjusting to them and they're still adjusting to you guys, I guess?
Yeah, of course. I think it took me a long time to adjust to the way we play when I first come, so I understand the position they're in. And we got so many games, so they're sort of chopping and changing who's plays because of the heavy load we have. So I feel for them, it is difficult to adapt to the way we play. But the more and more I play with them, I'm getting used to them, getting used to the movements and stuff, and I'm trying to adapt my game to them the best I can to make them succeed.
Craig and then Martin, please.
Anthony, you've always been a really honest talker, and if you go back 2 years, you know, you were hitting that level game on game, no matter what competition it was. Where do you honestly feel you're at this season in terms of that consistent level? Is there some high, some low, some indifferent, just from your perspective, because there's so much analysis around you.
Yeah.
From your perspective, where are you at?
I think perception sometimes can distort reality a little bit. I think people's expectations of me have grew, and rightly so, and I'm completely fine with that. But I know I'm doing the right things every day. I try and do the right things, whether I'm flying, whether I'm not playing so well. I try and just do my best, and the result sometimes is kind of out of my hands. I'm also playing against right backs and stuff who are elite themselves, so I know people expect a lot from me, but they're also quite good players themselves, and yeah, they get paid quite well to stop me.
You said there as well, you don't look at social media, but away from that, I touched on it there, there's so much analysis around you, and that's almost the price on the ticket for an England player. You're probably aware of that. Do you mind it? Are we talking rubbish? Do we ever talk sense? What's your take on all of that noise and analysis around you?
No, I don't mind. It's not personal to me. It's just, it's your job. It's what you're meant to do. It's part of trying to be great at something. Is if you can't take people's opinions, good or bad, then you're probably not meant to be great, I don't think. So I think I take it quite well. I don't take it personal. I'm not a very sensitive person. Like I said, I just try and focus on myself all the time because that's all I can do. And the world we live in now, that just comes with the territory. It's the nature of the beast.
Cheers.
I've got Martin there, and then gentleman at the back in the hat, please.
Hi, Andy. You use visualization techniques. Can you give us an insight into how that works for you, and what does the perfect visualization of the next 6 months of your career look like?
Visualization, I think everybody visualizes. I think since I first spoke about it, it kind of got made into this big deal. It's not that big of a deal. I think you visualize more than you realize. It's just sort of like when you're daydreaming out the car window, or just with a bit more focus. I don't want to look 6 months in advance, I'll be honest, because we got so many games that it'd be quite dangerous for me to do that. And yeah, every 3 days is tough, so I'm just focusing on tomorrow.
And can you say why it takes a player a certain amount of time to adapt to the way this Newcastle United team under Eddie Howe plays after a transfer?
I think it's very structured the way we play. We have freedom, but it's freedom within a structure because we work so hard at it that there's so much detail around it. I think the relentless nature, the fitness, I spoke about that when I first joined. It took me so long to be Newcastle fit, to double, triple press goalkeepers and stuff like that. It's not easy, trust me. So I do feel for them, and it's a tricky team to come into. But I think once you nail it and you start to understand everything, you'll be the best version of yourself.
The gentleman there towards the back, please.
Hi, good evening. Newcastle sit 9th on the Premier League table. You guys won 3 games on the bounce, 8 in the Champions League with automatic qualification secured. Could you run me through the difference between playing in the Premier League and in the Champions League?
I think in the Champions League, teams are much more open. They all try and play. It's less transitional. I think in the Premier League, it's become more physical than I've ever known it to be. It's like a basketball game sometimes. It's so relentless physically. There's not much control. It's a running game, and sometimes it's about duels. Who wins the duels wins the game, or moments. The Champions League is a bit more of an older style of game. It's a bit more football based. Like teams come and try and play proper football. I think in the Premier League now you're seeing a lot more long throw-ins, set pieces. It's become a lot slower and a lot more set piece based, I would say.
Thank you. And just John Murray down here to finish, please. Just in the middle there. Thank you.
Hi, Anthony. Where does Hakimi fit on the list of the most dangerous opponents that you have to play against, or the most difficult of opponents if he is going to play? But he's obviously been away, but it may well be him.
Yeah, I've spoken this before. I think he's the best for me. He's the best I've played against. He's actually gone on since I said that and become even better, become a world champion. I think he was a key part in the team that won the Champions League. He added so many goals and assists from right back. He's just an incredible player. But that usually brings the best out of me, so I'm looking forward to it. I think you know me by now that I'll back myself against anyone, so I'm excited for it.
Is that what sets him apart, that he is so difficult at both ends of the field?
Yeah, when I was talking before about being tired the last time I was here, he was probably the main reason. Him and Dembele on one side is not easy to do for 105 minutes or 110 minutes. But we'll try our best. I'll try my best to stop them and give them a problem going the other way, hopefully.
Might not be playing, of course.
Of course, yeah, if I'm playing.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.